Tattoo inks. Tattoo inks are specialized formulations used to permanently deposit pigment into the human skin. Unlike writing, printing inks, which sit on a surface, tattoo ink must be biocompatible and embed in the dermis, second layer of skin, when injected by needle. Modern tattoo inks usually consist of insoluble pigments, solid color particles, suspended in a liquid carrier solution. Bottles of commercial tattoo, ink in a variety of colors. Each bottle contains a suspension of pigment, inorganic or organic, in a fluid carrier. Tattoo artists may mix colors or dilute inks with additional carrier before application. Pigments. Early tattoo pigments were often inorganic minerals or compounds. For example, carbon black, soot for black, mercury sulfide, vermilion for red, chromium oxide for green, cobalt aluminate for blue, etc. Many of these traditional pigments were heavy metal salts that provided strong color but could be toxic, e.g., mercury, cadmium, lead-based compounds. Modern tattoo inks have shifted toward organic pigments, industrial colorants also used in paints and plastics, that are brighter and potentially safer. For instance, azo-based pigments can create vibrant reds, oranges, and yellows. Quinacridone compounds yield magentas. Phthalocyanine pigments give robust blues and greens. Black remains typically carbon black, often from combustion sources like channel or furnace black, sometimes with iron oxide added. White is usually titanium dioxide, TiO. Table 1 lists some common tattoo pigment ingredients by color. Notably, the EU has recently moved to ban certain pigments, like specific blues and greens, over safety concerns, prompting development of new substitutes. Carrier. The pigment powder by itself is dry, so manufacturers suspend it in a liquid carrier to create a fluid ink. The carrier solution serves to keep the pigment evenly mixed, to aid application, and to prevent contamination. Typical carriers include purified water and ethanol or isopropyl alcohol. Glycerin, glycerol, is commonly added to increase the viscosity and make the ink smoother to work with and slower to dry. Propylene glycol or witch hazel are also used in some formulations as wetting agents or to help the ink penetrate the skin. Many commercial tattoo inks also contain a small amount of preservative, like phenol, benzoic alcohol, or parabens, to inhibit bacterial growth, since these inks might be stored for months and are eventually injected into the skin. Some may include surfactants to improve pigment dispersion, or compounds to adjust pH and tonicity. Application and properties. When tattooing, the machine's needles puncture the skin and deliver ink into the dermal layer. The pigment particles are too large for the body to easily break down, so they remain trapped in the tissue, some inside macrophage cells, others in the interstitial space, providing permanent coloration. Over time, some particles may migrate to lymph nodes or slowly degrade, but generally tattoos are lifelong. The carrier liquid mostly diffuses away or is absorbed. Its job is to facilitate even pigment flow during the tattoo process. Because tattoos involve breaking the skin, the inks must be sterile or close to sterile, hence the inclusion of biocides and the emphasis on disposable packaging. In the US, tattoo inks are not strongly regulated by the FDA. They are considered cosmetics, and manufacturers often keep formulations proprietary. This leads to variability in quality and safety. Allergic reactions or other adverse effects can occur from certain pigments or impurities. For example, red pigments, whether mercury-based or azo dyes, are notorious for causing allergic reactions in some people, and there are concerns about carcinogenic impurities in some blue and green pigments. Overall, tattoo inks exemplify a simple ink formulation, pigment, yaon liquid, with the twist that the substrate is human skin. Their durability and vividness are crucial, and modern chemistry continues to evolve safer pigments, e.g., replacing heavy metals while maintaining the intense colors that tattoo art demands. Textile and dye-based inks. This category covers inks used to impart color to fabrics and those that rely on dyes as colorants. It straddles the line between dyeing, immersion coloring of fibers, and printing on textiles or other materials. Textile printing inks. When patterns or text are printed onto fabric, as opposed to dyeing the whole cloth one color, specialized inks are used. The most common methods are screen printing on fabric, discussed earlier under printing inks, and digital textile printing. Screen printing on textiles often uses plastisol inks or water-based acrylic inks. Plastisol inks, PVC-based, sit on top of the fibers, creating a layer of color that is very opaque and durable, common on t-shirts. Water-based inks for fabric contain dyes or pigments with a binder that can bond with the fiber or cure into a film. For example, there are water-based discharge inks that chemically remove the garment's dye and replace it with another color, and high solid acrylic inks that deposit pigment with minimal hand feel. In digital textile printing, for instance, direct-to-garment inkjet printing, the inks are usually aqueous pigment inks combined with a binder, or dye-based inks designed for the fiber type. For cotton printing, pigment inks with an acrylic binder are popular. After printing, a heat cure or binder fixation step is needed, so the pigment adheres through wash cycles. For polyester fabrics, dye sublimation inks are widely used. The ink, often printed on transfer paper first, contains dispersed dyes which, upon heating, sublimate, go into vapor, and bond with the polyester fibers, producing a permanent coloration that is in the fiber itself. Dye-based inks. General. The term dye-based ink refers to any ink that uses soluble dyes as the colorant, as opposed to particulate pigments. Many writing and printer inks are dye-based. For example, most fountain pen inks, many inkjet inks, and some stamp pad inks use dyes. Dye-based inks tend to be more brilliant and have a wider color gamut than pigment inks. The trade-off is that dyes are typically less light-fast, prone to fading from UV light, and less water-resistant, since they redissolve if soaked. Dyes also can bleed on absorbent surfaces because the liquid carries them deep into fibers. Paper is often treated, sized, or coated to control this. For instance, inkjet papers have coatings that keep dyes near the surface by ionic attraction. Cellulose fibers in paper carry a natural charge, and some inkjet coatings use a compound that binds the dye molecule at the paper surface. In fabrics, fiber-reactive dyes illustrate a dye-based ink that actually forms a chemical bond with the substrate. Reactive dyes, used on cotton, for example, are applied in water and then fixed with an alkali, which causes them to covalently bond to the cellulose fiber. The excess unattached dye is washed out, leaving color-fast, vibrant fabric. This process is more akin to dyeing than printing, but when designs are applied using reactive dyes via an inkjet textile printer, one could call that a dye-based ink application. Likewise, acid dyes are used on silk and nylon, bonding to those fibers ionically. Dispersed dyes for synthetic fibers physically diffuse into the hydrophobic fiber. Each of these is a colorant plus a carrier, water, essentially acting as an ink during application, though they become part of the fiber afterward. In summary, textile inks may contain either pigments, with binders that glue the color to the fabric surface, or dyes, which actually penetrate or chemically attach to the fiber. Dye-based inks, whether on paper or fabric, excel in color vibrancy and clarity, while pigment-based ones excel in durability and opacity. Learn more about art, history, and music at Oransbox.com. Please like and subscribe, and may the rest of your life be the best of your life. Oran, c'est ta belle grave.